One of the things we talk a lot about during the Christmas season is Advent, the idea that we get to celebrate and prepare for the coming of Christ, the Christmas morning event that happened 2,000 years ago. We look forward to the moment we get to celebrate that. It's a word that I've been thinking about a lot this Christmas season, more so than past Christmas times, and I've been thinking about it mainly in a historical context. Some of my studies have been based around the idea of, or the question of, what did the early church do with the idea of Advent? And as I've studied into that, I began to think about what the Jews did before the Messiah came. Now, I know that most Jews have rejected the idea of Christ being the Messiah, but the principle was still there. The Jewish people looked forward to the idea of the coming Messiah, the one who would ransom captive Israel. Just like we sing, O come, Emmanuel, O come God with us, come to us. That's what the Jews looked forward to. That's what Israel looked forward to that first Christmas. They were waiting on the Messiah. Of course, in the New Testament, we see the same picture. We see the looking back to that moment in the form of the Advent that we celebrate today. The early church did Advent a little bit differently. They celebrated the idea of new believers coming to the faith and God coming to them. So when a believer would come to the faith, they would take about 40 days of prayer, reading scriptures, fasting, talking with other believers, preparing their heart for what would be their baptism, their public display of God coming to them. Later on in the early church, it shifted a little bit, and the idea of Advent became based around the idea of the future coming of Christ, the second coming of Christ, when he would return to the world to gather his people, to gather the saints. Today, of course, we celebrate, just like the early Jews did, just like Israel did, we celebrate the symbolic looking forward to Christmas morning, the morning when Christ came to earth. Deity met humanity. God came to man in the form of Jesus, in the form of an infant, the moment of the incarnation when the Virgin Mary gave birth to our Savior. Such a beautiful moment, and we get to look forward to that together as a church, together as a worldwide church, and together even as North Star, our church family locally. But it's something to be so excited about. It's something that's encouraged me over the last week or so. But one thing I want to leave with you is the idea of the three Advents that I've mentioned here. The first Advent, which was looking forward to the Messiah coming on Christmas morning. The early church celebrating the Advent of new believers coming. And then, of course, the early church celebrating the idea that we celebrate still today, the second coming of Christ, the future hope that we have that he will return for us. I want to encourage you over this Christmas season, let's celebrate the birth of Jesus, obviously, but let's also look forward to those saints that are not yet saints, the folks that will come into our church, North Star Church, but other churches around us, other churches around the world. Our future believers are going to come to Christ. We get to look forward to that. We get to have an Advent for that, a preparation for that. These folks will come, they'll be saved, they'll be baptized, and we get to look forward to them coming into the faith. Of course, we get to celebrate Christmas together. That's the second way we can celebrate Advent. But the third and final way that I want to encourage you to celebrate Advent is that looking forward to Christ's second coming, when he will come for his people, when he will come for his bride. He'll gather us together. He'll take us to himself. We'll be with him for all of eternity. It's a beautiful promise, and it's a beautiful hope that we have. We get to experience him face to face. I can't wait for that moment. I hope you can either. It's going to be incredible. I hope you have a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you later.